Nakamas Manga is a Brazilian translation group that on the surface seems pretty normal, scanning raws and bringing them to South America and subsequently one European country. But a few years ago they found themselves in a bit of hot water, all because of their really odd translation of Chainsaw Man. I've talked about this translation before, but I didn't really look too deeply into it, and ever since then I've really wanted to see for myself what's up with it. And the answer is a lot. A lot is up with it. It's not a simple case of a badly done translation. Overall, the core story of Chainsaw Man is still there. Instead, there are these changes that are clearly very deliberate and glaringly incorrect. And I know what you're probably thinking, and yeah, you're right, my Portuguese is roughly on par with a newborn baby. How could I possibly know what's correct and incorrect? And I will admit I was heavily reliant on translation software when looking through this particular version. But something I quickly came to learn was, you don't need to know Portuguese to understand when something isn't right. So before we start, I wanted to try and get a bit more into the Brazilian spirit. I feel it's fitting because this all happened in Brazil. So I wanted to see if I can get like a little bit of Brazilian in my veins. And second to a blood transfusion, I thought drinking beer was the best way. So according to Reddit, Skol is one of the more popular drinks in Brazil. So I managed to get myself 6 cans of this. It was not cheap. It was like 4,000 yen for the total of them, not including postage and handling. So I don't know how much I spent on this. So I thought I'd try this over the course of this thing, just to see what it's like. Fun fact, this actually started production in Scotland. We love a bit of globalism, especially when it fills up our museums. So yeah, consider this a kind of a test. That's actually alright. Also, a bonus side note, for some reason in this video I called them Nakamas mangas. I have no idea where I got that extra S from, it's just Nakama mangas. So, sorry, my bad. So finding out about Nakamas manga themselves was way more difficult than it had to be. I had a lot of trouble trying to access their website. No matter what, it just didn't work, even when I VPN'd myself to South America. It was either nothing, or just a bunch of pop-ups. So I'd say, be careful if you're going to try and attempt that yourself. My computer absolutely has a virus. I'd feel bad if anything happened to yours. Their Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Discord were all similarly inaccessible to me. So, but luckily, the Wayback Machine comes in clutch, and we can see a couple of snapshots of their website without risking my bank account. And it really wasn't worth the effort. It's really nothing special. It's just a place to host the work they've done, which to their credit is a lot. So I found the easiest way to access their work was on MangaDex, and there is an account on there who's credited as one of the translators, but they mostly just say that they don't like MangaDex and want people to visit the website that you can't get to, as well as other few choice words which I can only assume aligns to their political views. But I did push that to the back of my mind because I wanted to give this translation the benefit of the doubt and not go into it already with preconceived notions. But yeah, by the end of it, comments like that, yeah, that's pretty much what I would expect. So what really starts to emerge when you compare Nakamas Mangas' version to the original Japanese, or any version for that matter, is that you get a sense that it's really mean-spirited and very self-indulgent. It's still technically Chainsaw Man, it still follows all the story beats, but with this added edgier layer to it that's kind of like what you'd expect a 14-year-old's idea of mature comedy is. And the most obvious but admittedly insignificant infraction is the increased inclusion of swear words in places where they just weren't before. Let me give you an example. So in Volume 4, Chapter 32, Aki makes a deal with the Future Devil. Before the details of their collaboration is laid out, the Future Devil asks Aki something. He says, "Well, whatever, your future, show it to me." The Nakamas manga Chainsaw Man writes the line as, fuck, show me your future. And then things like this just kind of kept happening. Take for instance this part, where Katana Man confronts Denji about killing his grandfather. "Your friends and grandfather were zombies. That's why I killed them." Nakamas manga wrote, Your friends and grandfather were zombies. That's why I killed them. You fuck. So I don't really think it would be in good faith for me of all people to declare if this is an appropriate way to translate Chainsaw Man. It might be perfectly okay, and in that case I'm just making a fool of myself. It wouldn't be the first time. All I know is that when you start to compare how Nakamas Manga's version is translated with other versions, Nakamas Manga is more likely to include swear words where there just weren't before. So now we're going to move away from swearing for a moment. It's honestly really not a problem, because if that was all they did, I wouldn't be talking about this. So now it's your turn. I'm going to show you a page from Chainsaw Man, and I want you to tell me if anything seems wrong with it. Just have a look. I will be here with this. Oh, God. Did you see anything? Yeah, so for some reason, the brand of cigarettes that Makima is holding has just been changed to a Brazilian brand of cigarettes. Like, they actually just redrew it. She was originally holding High Fights, and now it's a pack of Derbies. Yeah, this just baffles me, because, again, no other translation has done this. It's just them. I don't get it. Supposedly, there's also a drink at some point in there that gets changed, but I couldn't find it. So don't take my word on that. And then you get to the part where Rise is introduced, and then you start to see the woods for the trees. Rise's introduction is her being late for work. So when she finally does show up, her manager says he's going to dock her pay, and she responds with this. Like I said, you don't need to know Portuguese to know when something is wrong. That says exactly what you think it does. Yeah, so now we're starting to dance around the rim of why this translation is controversial. But we haven't been quite sucked into the drain just yet. Here's another page. I want you to have another look and tell me if anything sticks out again. Don't worry, I'll be right here. Yeah, so if you're going to say that Power is described as a narcissistic, egocentrist, lying feminist, you would only be half correct, because the rest is actually over here with the Angel Devil, who's described as being a Coke that's really a Fanta, which I thought was a thing referencing his androgynous appearance, but in actuality, it's a homophobic phrase. And this was the first time I'd ever heard it. You know, I'm learning so much. And if you haven't quite got it yet, no other translation does this. And then I started to wonder, if Nakamas Manga is quite happy to just do this to Chainsaw Man, have they done this to any other manga? No, it's just Chainsaw Man. From what I can tell, the other ones are fine, they're normal. So if you're going through Komi-san Can't Communicate, you're not going to see her just suddenly pull out a can of delicious Skol, which since 1959 has expertly blended hops, grain malts, and the purest of water to deliver a beverage which has earned the right to be one of the top 5 best-selling beer in the world. With its crisp, refreshing taste, it's more than just a drink. It's a piece of the sun-dipped waters of Copacabana. A summer day, any time of the year. Yeah, you won't see things like that. And then I noticed it on the title card before the start of each chapter. You know that thing that shows who did what? There was another translator group credited, and that group was called SS Club. So yeah, it starts to make a bit more sense now, doesn't it? So have they done this with any other manga? No, it's just Chainsaw Man. The other ones are fine. It's just Chainsaw Man. Why is it just Chainsaw Man? Yeah, so why am I talking about this? It normally wouldn't matter. There are hundreds of bad scan works out there. Some of them you have to pay for. What's special about this one? Well, it was pretty popular. So a post on Reddit on the Chainsaw Man subreddit by I11mortgage6490 talks about the Nakamas Manga version of Chainsaw Man. They said that for a time it was the only Portuguese translation of Chainsaw Man available, so everyone just rolled with it until they started noticing the weird shit. So I found this article from a site called Omelets that talks about this translation, and although they don't name Nakamas mangas, it's pretty obvious they're talking about this one. Keep in mind, I don't know how reputable this site may be, but they do make a really interesting claim, that being that some people thought that the official published version of Chainsaw Man, when it came out, was censored, and that the Nakamas manga's version was accurate to the original Chainsaw Man, which brings us to the controversy. And that is, of course, O futuro el pica. I listened to a lot of fan dubs to try and say that right, so hopefully it was okay. This phrase means the future is incredible, and it's said in the introductory page of The Future Devil. It also means the future is a dick. Think of it as like saying the future is the shit. And this was the golden line that came out of the Nakamas manga's version, so it was memed around quite a lot. And here's something pretty funny I found. There's a fan dub of the Future Devil part with O futuro el pica added in. And they say in the comments that they don't like the Nakamas manga's version of Chainsaw Man, but O futuro el pica is pretty funny. And I agree, it is a bit funny. So it was clearly a very popular joke, and fans of it were hoping that there would be some kind of nod towards it when the anime came out. But that didn't happen. The subtitles wrote it as O futuro el tope, and the dub said it as O futuro el showa, which both just mean the future is awesome, but there's no penis. So, online pica nutters got their feathers ruffled about it not being mentioned, leading to the voice actor for the Future Devil, Guilherme Briggs, to get on Twitter and lambast the Nakamas manga's version, resulting in death threats against him and attempts to break into his Twitter to get it deleted, which ended with him quitting the dub of Chainsaw Man, which is a pretty intense reaction for just not using one word. From what I can tell, Briggs is a pretty well-liked VA. He did voices for Buzz Lightyear, All Might, Superman, and so a lot of normal people were quite upset in the way that he was treated. So am I, actually. That's a really dumb thing to happen. So, where is Nakamas manga now? I'm still making perfectly normal scans. Based on what I can see, their scan of Chainsaw Man stopped at the end of part 1. So, unless they're somewhere else that I can't access, like their site or Discord, I think that's probably the end. Especially now, since the official version is so readily available. Yeah, so that's it. The really odd Chainsaw Man scan that resulted in someone's life being threatened. The lesson is, the future may be a dick, but that doesn't mean you have to be.